A dangerous weather situation is shaping up later this week into this weekend for much of the central and southern U.S. A strong storm system is going to bring blizzard conditions, severe weather, and possible long track significant tornadoes. I'll have all the details, plus we'll take a look at the long range, and we'll have today's trivia question and word of the day. So buckle up and get ready. A new episode of Cold Rain's Weather World starts right now. Hi folks, and welcome into the channel. Jason Pritchard here. I'm so glad that you're with us for another episode of Cold Rain's Weather World, where we talk about the weather and have a few fun segments along the way. Well, we've got a lot of weather to talk about, including this massive storm system that's going to develop over the plains, bomb out, and bring all kinds of weather hazards, including a major severe weather outbreak, potentially for the central and eastern and southern portions of the country later this week into this weekend. That would include hail, high winds, and potentially strong tornadoes, even blizzard conditions on the cold side of the storm. We're going to go into all of that here in just a few minutes, but we're going to start with our 2-minute drill where we take a look at the current weather and the upcoming weather over the next couple of days so that you can be up to speed quickly on what you need to know as you go about your work week. So with that, let's go. So we're going to kick things off with our satellite image, and you can see immediately right off the bat this big trough crashing into the west coast. This is going to bring some shower activity out here, but more importantly, it's going to spawn a low pressure around Colorado, and that is going to deepen rapidly and race to the Great Lakes and set the stage for a major severe weather event later this week, and even on the backside, snow and blizzard-like conditions and high winds for a large area. So we're going to watch all of that as we get on into the video today. And so take a look at this. We've got a little low pressure wave crossing the border. It's moving through the Great Lakes, bringing some snow shower activity there and producing some high clouds, sending some high clouds up into New England and the northern mid-Atlantic. And then we've got another little swirl that we've been watching come on in. That's moving through New Mexico, and it's going to set the stage. It's a little upper level system. It's going to create a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity across the Arklatex later. Could be some severe weather there, hail potentially, and then high winds later on as that line congeals into a more linear mode and diminish through the night. On the radar, not a lot of activity, just some showers and some snow and rain mixed with snow up here in the Pacific Northwest. A few snow showers moving through the Great Lakes. We can put that into motion and see that. Nothing up in the Northeast. Very nice conditions across much of the central and southern portion of the United States. And we've got some showers working in with that upper level low across Arizona into New Mexico. So that's just going to move on through as we work through the day and spawn those showers and thunderstorms in the Arklatex. Temperatures started off on the mild side. We're a little chillier out here in the upper elevations here across the border into New England. It's chilly up here. So you've got 7 degrees. We've got single digits up here in northern Maine. Around Caribou, you're at 10, and back into Watertown, you're near 20. So it's very cold up here in the northeast today, but that's going to change over the next couple of days. 40s and 50s this morning, and this is going to warm up rapidly as the sun comes up and it starts to heat up, and we're going to see the temperatures rebound in a big way. Now, our surface map today, so we've got this trough moving on and all of the shower and snow shower activity and even heavy snow up in the Sierras associated with that. This other little upper level system, as I said, we've got a little area of severe weather where we could see some supercells develop with some large hail and then change over into more of a linear mode of thunderstorm activity, bringing a wind threat through this area. General thunderstorms through the lower Mississippi Valley and up into western Tennessee, and then critical fire conditions over Texas where it's been dry and it's going to be windy. So don't burn anything out here. It's just continually dry there. And so tomorrow, as we get into Thursday and Thursday afternoon, you're seeing that system work onto the West Coast, a little bit broader area of snow showers, mixed precipitation, heavier snow in the higher elevations, critical fire weather setting up across the plains where it's windy and dry there, and then that low pressure continues to move that we saw in the south, continues to move east, bringing some general shower and thunderstorm activity. Again, not looking for a lot of severe weather out of this, but we can see some showers and thunderstorms for sure. Friday is the beginning of the big weather event, if we want to call it that. So we've got a low pressure that's going to consolidate here and bomb out, move to the Great Lakes, rapidly draw up moisture out of the Gulf, and set the stage for a major severe weather outbreak across the Midwest down to the lower Mississippi Valley. And that's going to work to the southeast as we get on into Saturday and produce potentially a major tornado outbreak, which we're going to talk about. This is a dangerous setup that's going to unfold with a very dynamic system. So if you know anyone that is in any of these areas from the southeast up to the Midwest, share this video with them and get the word out, because you need to start paying attention to this as we get toward the end of the week. Snow on the backside, heavy snow continually out here in the Cascades and the Sierras. Going to have feet of snow out in this area. So that's your surface map. Temperatures as we get into this afternoon, highs are going to be generally in the 30s, 40s, 50s out west, so a little chillier there. Chilly across the border, won't get above freezing in northern New England, but 60s and 70s for much of the rest of the country. Even some 90s down here in South Texas, working in toward places like Corpus Christi. You're going to get up into the 90s potentially. So very nice afternoon across much of the states. And then same temperature pattern tomorrow, chilly out west with all of the clouds and precipitation there. Warming up across the border. Now we're above freezing up in northern New England. That's just going to continue to get warmer. 60s and 70s dominate much of the plains and southeast. And then again on Friday, same sort of pattern, trough out west, warming up across the north, and 70s surging all the way up into Minnesota around Minneapolis, and then you've got 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s down here in Texas. Just very, very warm and mild ahead of this system that's developing. So that's your 2-minute drill. We've got we're going to do a deep dive of the severe weather threat in the rest of the video. Remember, the 2-minute drill is just a segment that I do as part of a longer video, and I put that out there so you can catch up on what you need to know. But take a look if you have time at the longer video, because we're going to do a deep dive into the severe weather threat and take a look at who's going to see what. And so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn those alerts on or notifications on, and you'll get an alert whenever I put out a new video. And we're going to be doing that daily, especially while we've got active weather on tap. So thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Now, for much of the rest of our show, we're going to spend time looking at this upcoming severe threat. We're going to try to understand what we know, what we don't know, and what we need to know as we try to figure out how all of this evolves over the coming days. Who's going to be affected? When is the timing? And we're going to look at those things and how is this all coming together. So we're going to nail down as much as we can, and I'll continue to have videos through the week. I'll also put timestamps in this video so that you can skip right to the section that you want to get to quickly if you don't have time to watch the whole thing. We'll also take a look at our trivia question. We've got a new segment called Word of the Day, so stick around for that. And we'll take a peek at the long range to see if this active pattern continues and if there are any other threats on the horizon. So thank you again for being here. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section. Could be a prayer request. I'm happy to pray for anything going on in your life. And also, if you have a question or anything like that, happy to answer that. I'm going to put a pinned comment today. I was talking to my wife yesterday about the time change, and she asked me if I like the sun going down earlier or if I like later afternoons. I like the sun going down earlier and shorter evenings, but she likes the opposite, and many other people like the opposite, it seems like. So let me know, do you like longer days or shorter days? In reality, all the days are the same, but you get what I'm trying to say. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, and give us a like if you like the video. So with that, we are going to go ahead and start with our trivia question, okay? So here is our trivia question. I don't think I've asked this before. If I have, just pretend like you haven't heard it before, but I don't think you have. What is the longest lasting tropical cyclone on record? Is it A, Hurricane Irma, B, Hurricane Katrina, C, Super Typhoon Haiyan, or D, Hurricane John? Okay? You've got a little bit of time to answer that question. If you know the answer, put it in the comment section. If you do not know it, then you will know it by the end of the show. So now we're going to turn our attention to the big ticket item that everybody has been talking about on social media. We've been talking about it the last several days on this channel, and that is the threat for a severe weather outbreak later this week into the weekend for central and eastern parts of the country. And so we're going to take a look at all of what we know, what we don't know, and what we need to know. And we're going to start with the Storm Prediction Center and their outlook. They're keenly aware of this. Of course, their job is to understand these threats and put out assessments of them and risk outlooks, and they've been doing that. And now that this is moving in a little closer, their confidence is starting to increase, and so they've put out their day 3 categorical outlook. And so what we're looking at here is Friday morning to Saturday morning. We've got a big slight risk from the upper Midwest all the way down toward the Gulf Coast, with an enhanced bullseye from Illinois, Missouri, all the way down into northern Alabama and Mississippi down here into Tennessee. This is for Friday into Saturday for mainly a high wind threat, although there is the risk of tornadoes. There's enough turning and wind shear with height, basically turning with height in the low levels, that you can see spin ups along the line. But it looks like the mode of severe weather for this area is going to generally be a line or a linear squall line that moves through, that organizes the wind. And we're talking about wind potentially. See that they've got this hatched area. When you see this hatched area here, that means that there is a greater chance of significant wind gusts, winds higher than 58 miles per hour. That's your threshold for severe weather. We're talking about winds potentially into the 70s, maybe even approaching 80. We've got a lot of wind energy aloft. It's going to be able to translate down to the ground if these thunderstorms can get going, and it looks like they will. So I would expect, if things continue to trend like they are, we may even see a moderate risk for some of these areas as we get into the next couple of days. So that is your Friday into Saturday. Saturday into Sunday, this threat shifts east through the Ohio Valley, and then really centers itself down here into the deep south. Louisiana, Mississippi, most of Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia. There is a potential here for a rather significant tornado outbreak. Parameters look like they're starting to come together for this. I'm seeing some data that's concerning to me. If you know anybody that lives in any of these areas that we're talking about, send them this video. Make sure that they're aware of what's coming. You know, there's no guarantee when it comes to severe weather, because certainly even with your most prominent tornado outbreaks, things have to just sort of get together just right. But it looks like ingredients are going to be in place, at least to enough at this point to raise some alarm bells for this. So pay attention. A 30% risk of severe weather in this area already at D4. That's Saturday into Sunday. And then Sunday into Monday, that threat shifts east. What kind of a threat exists here is still TBD. When will the line of storms move through? Will it be at night when the instability and heating of the day is minimum? Or will it move through in portions of this area in the heat, during prime heating, which increases instability? So we're going to be looking at all of that. When we look at severe weather, we need moisture at the surface. We need wind shear with height. That means winds need to be changing direction to some degree with height, and or increasing speed with height. And the atmosphere needs to cool with height. These things can be more extreme than others. Sometimes the wind can be less, it can be lighter in terms of its gradient with height. Sometimes the atmosphere can cool with height, but sometimes it can really, really cool with height. And that can overcome if you have limited moisture at the surface. So there are a lot of competing variables that can come together to either make or break severe threats. In this case, we've got a lot of wind energy with this storm system. And if we take a look here at what's kind of driving all of this, we've got this massive, anomalously strong storm that's developing near Colorado. It's going to shoot off. If we take a look here, this thing just shoots on off toward the Great Lakes. These green colors show you how below average it is to have a system like this. This is your normal pressure where it's white. Where it's green, this is way below average for the pressure this time of year in these areas. So this is a very, very strong storm. That's what this map is telling you. This is an ensemble mean, by the way, so some members of the ensemble mean have it much lower than this. But anyway, category 2 strength pressure, you're not going to see 100-mile-an-hour sustained winds, but you will see wind energy across a large portion of the atmosphere, and a lot of that can get translated down in thunderstorms. So that's how that works. This moves on off, and look down here in the south. So this is important. So if you take a look here, this is a secondary area of low pressure that's forming, and it's going to form somewhere in this pink area and move off in this direction. This is going to act to enhance flow out of the Gulf of Cold Rain and bring dew points into the southeast, essentially in this area here. I'm drawing a messy map, but that's the long and short of it. This wasn't present in the last system, and so this is going to be an important weather maker. It's going to help change wind direction in the low levels and also transport rich moisture out of the Gulf. That's going to set the stage for a larger tornado threat in the deep south. Now, looking at our general wind threat, so with these mid-latitude cyclones, if they're very, very strong, you get a big pressure gradient, and so you can start to see wind gusts out away from thunderstorms even. And we've been talking about this too. And if we look here Friday morning into Friday afternoon, just the explosion of winds over Texas and New Mexico and Oklahoma. These are 60, 70, maybe even 80-mile-an-hour gusts that can take place in here, with just strong wind energy associated with this. This is accumulated map, so over time those winds shift into Missouri and off into the Midwest. You see these wind maxes sort of appear throughout much of the central portion of the country. This is just a strong storm, a lot of gradient winds. These oranges are essentially 50, around 50 or higher. Greens are 40 or higher. So even on into Sunday, into Monday, look, all the way up in here into the Ohio Valley, portions of the Mid-Atlantic, New England, into the southeast, you're seeing gusts. I would expect high wind watches and warnings and wind advisories as we go through the week. This is a very dynamic system, so lots of wind energy here, even outside of storms. In the upper levels, we look upstairs to kind of see what's driving all of this. You've got this big upper level low pressure that has formed this trough. Look at this thing negatively tilted. This thing is all the way back. Just the big negatively tilted trough, and you've got divergence. We've been looking at this too, where these lines kind of separate. You see how they're kind of fanning out. That is evacuating air at the top of the column. It's like if you take your hands in a swimming pool and you half into the water and you push it away, you see water kind of upwell. That's what happens here. You get convergence at the surface when you have divergence aloft, and you're seeing lots of divergence. That's big lift, big growing thunderstorms. And then if you've got wind energy, which we have wind energy in spades, it is a recipe for severe weather. So this moves off, and then you see that second piece of energy kind of diving in at the base of the trough here that will spawn low pressure over the southeast for Saturday. So we're getting into Saturday into Sunday, and all of this begins to shift east. Cold front comes through Monday and then wipes everything out. So with this trough, so that is what's going on upstairs. When we look at our wind energy, so this is the wind at 500 millibars. Look at this big area of bright colors here. This is winds in excess of 130 miles per hour. This is what the European is showing. So this moves on into the plains, into the Midwest. It weakens a little bit, and then you get sort of a secondary max coming in here into the Saturday evening, Sunday time frame. And so that's your window for severe weather. Friday, up here across the Midwest, translating east and southeast, and then a renewed with this new system that's developing in this new upper level jet. You know, you're seeing a renewed 130 mile an hour jet up here that's helping to create all of the wind shear needed for lift and turning or supercell development and that sort of thing. So you're really looking at a lot of wind energy here coming in across the south, and that moves on out. And then what do we look at for severe weather parameters? One of the things that we've been looking at is CAPE, which is a measure of instability. So you're seeing that increase now a little bit as we get on into the event. So looking at Thursday and we get on into Friday, I'm going to put this in motion kind of fast. But look at this, look at the CAPE. Even though we don't have high dew points up here, we still have cooling of the atmosphere with height. So it's seeing that component contribute to the instability. And so instability is running up through the Tennessee Valley into the Ozarks here, and then the lower Mississippi Valley as you get on into Friday into Saturday. You diminish CAPE a little bit, but then it comes back somewhat too. So even these green values are enough to get the job done when you have a lot of wind shear. And so we're seeing plenty of CAPE that will help contribute to strong thunderstorm development. And finally, here's the kind of the way it sort of plays itself out. So this is a lightning density map. This shows you where the severe weather is likely to be. So Friday afternoon and evening, you're seeing a big bowing line here from Iowa to Missouri. That's going to sweep into Illinois and build sort of to the south and hit Tennessee and Indiana, and then weaken over time. It sort of breaks apart, and then you see some renewed development down here. And this is the one wild card. So this is what we don't know yet. This is why we can't say for certain there's going to be a big outbreak. If we start to get activity that is a little bit widespread ahead of Saturday, so our time frame in the deep south for the big tornado threat is Saturday into Sunday evening. Or I'm sorry, Saturday night into Sunday And so we're going to watch this unfold. But look at this. You've already got some activity developing here. If this activity develops and is kind of widespread, it may work over the atmosphere and reduce the instability, which would lower the tornado threat. So we're going to have to watch and see how the convective activity from the Friday system plays into what's going on over there. Now, the European showing some of that activity, but not widespread enough to really kill the environment. And so it renews everything as we get into Saturday and to Saturday evening, and you have this broken up where you had a big lineup here. This is all broken up. This is indicative of supercells, which are going to allow for a greater potential for hail as well as turning and tornado activity. So that's what is being shown here. Look at that. Alabama is just under the gun, supercells everywhere, and that moves into Georgia and eventually coalesces into a line. That line kind of breaks apart and then renews as we get into Sunday afternoon. And so you can see that kind of build back in over time. So again, timing is uncertain along the East Coast, but your major threat is down here, and we're going to have to watch this because this could be a very serious situation. Make sure you're subscribed. I'll keep you up to date on it. Taking a look a little bit closer at the surface-based CAPE, let's get on a different display here. For the Saturday into Sunday threat, this is Saturday morning, and we get into the afternoon. You've got some CAPE here showing up, enough to get the job done, as I said before. So that's what we're looking at Saturday into Sunday, and that shifts on off. The other couple of parameters that I wanted you to take a look at here are energy helicity index. This shows basically it's combining CAPE and wind shear to show you where you could get significant tornadoes. Anything a value of over 2 on this map is giving you the potential for tornadoes. Anything over 4 gives you the potential for significant tornadoes. And look down here in Mississippi. These values are well over 4. All of this yellow is over 2. So tornadoes are possible when you see this potentially strong long track tornadoes, strong tornadoes in EF2 or higher. And so these numbers are quite concerning as we look at how this unfolds over the course of Saturday afternoon and evening, and then it diminishes a bit as we get on into Sunday into the overnight hours. So diminishing as it gets into Georgia, but still, this is very concerning, folks. And then lastly, this is the significant tornado parameter. This is the 84-hour NAM. We're not really putting a lot of stock in the 84-hour NAM, except that it's starting to get in range where we can start to understand some additional severe weather parameters. And these parameters here in this purple, in these reds, this is substantial. Anything over 1 is substantial. And so we're seeing big numbers starting to pop up. This is eye-opening. This is something that you need to pay attention to and be aware of, because all of this is leading to the risk of severe weather. What we don't know is exact timing of the line and when it or these supercells, when they'll exactly start to form, but it's looking like Saturday mid-afternoon into the evening. Also, farther east, we don't know the timing of when that line will push through. Will it be at night in some areas? If so, it's going to diminish the threat there. How much CAPE will be available? How much moisture will be able to be pulled in? How strong will that secondary low pressure form? Those are all question marks. We need to understand all of that stuff a little bit better before we can nail down and say with confidence there will be a tornado outbreak. Okay, so those are things we need to look at. How much will the atmosphere get worked over with convection coming in prior to when this time frame is? And so those are things that we're going to be watching over the next couple of days, and I'll keep you posted here at Cold Rain's Weather World. Now, before we get to our word of the day, just a quick cold rain tip for you. If you drive far enough in the wrong direction, you'll eventually wind up where you want to go. Think about it. That way you don't ever have to ask directions again. Now, our word of the day is perspicacious. I have to think about how to say that. Perspicacious. It does not mean to sweat after working out or because you're nervous. What it means is having a ready insight or understanding of things. Some people are very perspicacious or perceptive, maybe another way to say it. Insightful. That's your word of the day. Now, I challenge you to use that word today, and I thought I came across that and thought it would be fun to know it. So that's a little bonus here at Cold Rain's Weather World. All right, so now we're going to take a quick look at the European model and the ensemble in terms of what they're showing in the long range. Okay, I'm getting my act together here, folks. All right, so part 3 of the show. This is the long range outlook. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. It's very similar to what we've seen the last couple of days, but so we're pulling this on forward. So we see our big system Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off the coast, and then boom, another system crashes into the west coast. Here it comes. It's going to get its act together again. Heavy snow on the north, and then a line of storms across the south. Will that translate into a big severe weather event? Well, the European is not excited about it because it's not seeing a lot of moisture return. Of course, I remember several days ago when I said, boy, look at this European model showing or it was a GFS actually, showing a 969 low, and there was no precipitation anywhere. Well, that turns out to be a big severe weather event. So we'll see how this plays out. But snow on the backside, these models are something. They are not very perspicacious. Is that right? Did I say it right? Perspicacious. So there we go. Here we come with the next system coming out into the Monday. When is this? March the 24th time frame. Another big system rolling into the plains. Does that not look similar? This is like a carbon copy. This is just unbelievable. One system after another, after another, after another, crashing in the west coast, blowing up in the plains. Severe. This is an active spring, folks. This is one of the more active springs. We're gonna look back on this and say this is one of the more active springs we've had in a long time. Then we've got our total precipitation over the next 2 weeks. Same footprint as yesterday. Big snows up here in the coastal range and the Cascades and the Sierra Nevadas. Feet of snow. I mean, this is 8-10 inches. Even maybe higher than that in some spots with all of this activity coming in. A lot of rain around Seattle and Portland. It is rainy, rainy, rainy all up and down the west coast. That works into the mountains, and then we get a footprint over the central portion of the country and a little bit of a larger footprint. And these purples are essentially 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. Now, some of this is going to be thunderstorm driven, so it's impossible to really figure out. When you get under a thunderstorm, you could pick up 2 inches of rain in 15 minutes. It just depends on how things develop here. But certainly an active pattern is underway and shows no signs of letting up. Temperature-wise, just wash, rinse, repeat. Warm in the east, cool in the west. These are 5-day averages as we go out in time over the first week, over week 2. Same sort of scenario. As the model goes out, it sort of, it averages everything out. You get a little bit of a smoothing out, but still very warm in the east, very cool in the west. Climate Prediction Center puts out their 8 to 14-day outlooks. Let's get over here in a better display. We can see the whole thing. Above normal east, much above on the east coast, parts of the eastern seaboard. This changes from day to day. Yesterday it was down here, now it's up here. But this is going to be warm in the east. Cool in the west. And precipitation-wise, same story, above normal precipitation in the east, above normal precipitation in the west, near normal most of the center of the country and the desert southwest, and then very much below normal here in Texas. That is continuing to exacerbate the drought conditions and the fire hazard here. The one thing about spring and all of these big storms is that there's going to be a lot of wind energy with these things, and so where you get dry conditions, you're going to get a lot of dust blowing around. You're going to have critical fire weather. So as we go through the spring, we're going to watch different spots around the country for various fire weather events and things like that. So just pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to your local National Weather Service as well. Stay subscribed here. I'll keep you in the loop as well. And that brings us to the answer to today's trivia question. And if you don't remember, it's been a long time. It's been a long video, so it's been a long time ago. So what is the longest lasting tropical cyclone on record? Is it Hurricane Irma from 2017, Hurricane Katrina, which was in 2005? That was all over the news. Remember that? That just blew up in the Gulf. And then Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. That was a very strong storm. Or was it Hurricane or / Typhoon John? And the answer is Hurricane John. It lasted for 31 days in 1994. Okay, I didn't do a lot of research on that one, so I don't have a lot of extra details on it. But just know that if anybody ever asks you what's the longest lasting tropical cyclone, it was Hurricane John in 1994. It lasted for 31 days. So any month it lasted an entire month, and in some cases more than a month, depending on what you're comparing it to. So that's it. That's the trivia question, and that is our show for today. I hope it's been helpful to you. Share it with people. Comment. Let's spread the word. I'd like to grow the community and certainly provide a service to you. And this is fun for me too. So hopefully you're enjoying it. But that is it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Thanks again for watching. And as always, this is Cold Rain reminding you that if other weather stations run 24/7, we got you covered 48/14. So tune in. And with that, we're out.